Welcome to Construction Champions Podcast, where we are burning the house down and rebuilding it twice a week. I'm your host, Nussbaum, and I am here to help you become the champion that you're meant to be. Along with our amazing guests along the way, we will provide you with the resources, the latest and greatest. You will sit down with disruptors in the construction industry. And my goal from day one has always been to change the mindset around the construction industry. No more where we let the 3%. Welcome back, Construction Champions, to another episode. I'm the conversation facilitator, Ron Nussbaum, and I'm the one that gets to have these conversations with amazing people throughout the construction industry, from outside the construction industry, and everywhere in between. And we talk about you becoming the champion that you were meant to be every week. And this episode is no different. We have an absolute amazing guest with us. I'm excited for our conversation. Brendan, it is fantastic to have you on the show.
Hey, Ron, how are you?
I am doing fantastic, man. Why don't you introduce yourself to all the construction champions listening out there?
Yeah, definitely. Well, Brendan Nielsen's my name. I'm Managing Director at JC Engineers, my company I started 9 years ago now. And we operate within the building construction industry here in Australia. We really kicked off identifying a space, a gap in the market, I guess, where a lot of value engineering and value management just really wasn't happening from that side of things. I had a project management background. I was out on site on civil construction, and I would always look at the design drawings that would come up, and I would go, "What the hell is this? But how the hell am I going to build this?" And I've got a bunch of these blokes out here and women, and they're sitting there and they're looking at me going, "Brendan, how are we building it?" So to me, I went, "That's a big gap." So I started the firm. We are really like we're a consultant, but consultant to me is a bit of a dirty word. Or more of a contractor that produces paperwork and knowledge. We try to assist our construction colleagues to try and get results as opposed to creating more nightmares.
I love it, man. I'm excited for our conversation. So I'm going to dive right in there and ask you the $1 million question. And that is, what makes a construction champion?
Yeah, I mean, for me, a construction champion is someone who's not afraid to ask a question. For me, there's so much time that is wasted on site by people on site, construction, laborers, foremen, everybody who's just been told to just go and do this, don't ask questions, right? And you just sit there and you sit down with the guys in the crews and you have toolbox meetings we call over here, or you sit down and have a chill out and you break, and most of the guys sit there with their heads in the air go, "Why the hell are we doing this?" So to me, I go, "Look, guys, you should be asking questions. Ask questions early on. Get out there and question why." Because to me, and I say this to a lot of engineers as well, if you ask the professional a question and they can't answer it, it's because they don't know. So they need to go and find that out and give you the answer.
I love that. And I'm a huge component of we should be asking questions as well. But the construction industry as a whole is, especially when you're talking drawings and stuff, is people can just be like, "Well, this is how the big guy drew it up, so we're just going to figure out how to build it, and we're not even going to question it." And that to me doesn't make any sense. But like you said, that you see that out there. How do we start to change that mindset to where people are like, "This isn't right," and ask the question?
Oh, exactly. And like for me, going from the construction environment and coming and leading a firm that has designers, for example, and then the construction guys as well, you see the different the different perspectives as well. So a designer might go, "Well, you get from step 1 to step 2 like this," and they just give you a set of plans, and your construction guys, and they go, well, how do I get from there to there? And the designer goes, well, it's assumed that that you're going to do. Well, don't assume. They don't know because you're a designer and the construction guys, right? So this is why it's like that. But I mean, for me, it comes down to a cultural element. For us in the construction industry, there's been a blame culture for a long period of time. So I think to be able to start to introduce that no blame culture, it will encourage those people who they get sick of coming in every day and being told don't ask a question. They will start to ask a question. And that is doing your post-mortem and looking at it and going, well, guys, how did we arrive here? We're not looking at the people who made the decision. We're not blaming project manager, the foreman, or whatever it is, whoever it is. We're looking at the process and we're going, well, what can we put in place to make sure we don't get there next time? And don't blame anybody. Don't single anybody out.
Yeah, that is an amazing take on that, because as you were talking about, I'm like, yeah, so we build things, and then whenever there's an issue, what's anybody say? Well, all I did was what whoever said. Like, you're right, this blame culture where it's like, we might do it knowing it's not 100% right, but we want to make sure we have that fallback to be able to say, well, I just did what was on the drawings here. So you need to go talk to whoever drew these up.
Yeah, exactly right. And I'm not sure about the stats in the US, but in Australia, around about 12 to 13% of construction budget is then invested back into rework. And it's rework that comes back that if you investigate that and get to the end of the rabbit hole, you'll look at it and you'll go, well, somebody did bring that up back then, but nobody listened to them. So it's this process that is like in this never-ending cycle at the moment. It's got to break, and it's got to break from the top down.
Yeah, I believe that rework is one of the greatest hidden right in our face costs in the construction industry, that over 90% of it could be completely avoided. But it's like something that we just find acceptable, to where people will even put it in their budgets of, we're going to have this much of stuff that's going to have to change because this or that, or we're going to have to go back. And it's literally all controllables. Like, there's a lot of stuff we can't control in the construction industry, but like a lot of people aren't even willing to control what they can, and then let the variables land where they are. But like the rework, it is killing businesses.
Exactly. And I think when you get to the level of project manager, project director, stakeholder, funding decisions, they just allow this extra margin. They just go, the 15%, we'll just throw that in there because that'll be for rework, right? But when you get to the ground, when you get to the guys on the ground too, they actually care about what they're doing. They care about the quality of their job. They want to show their family, their kids, hey guys, I built that. I was part of that. They give a shit about it, and for them to have to dig it out and redo it, like that's soul crushing for someone who actually cares about it.
We should just make that extra 15% of the budget a bonus for the people working on it. We don't have rework.
100%. 100%.
Spend it either way, but and give some people some motivation to build it right the first time.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm not sure how it works in the US, but over here, a lot of the political decisions are made by spending money, because if you spend money, then people are employed. So the unemployment rate goes down because people are hiring people. So you spend money. The more money that you spend in that financial year, the more money that you're allocated the next financial year, because you're spending money to employ people. So, it doesn't it doesn't make sense. Like there's no saving or productivity culture, I guess, over here in that sort of mentality.
Well, yeah. And I mean, it's, to me, you're just lighting money on fire. Like that money could do amazing things other places. Like I said, even if you just made it into some kind of bonus structure that was able to be, I don't even know. I wouldn't even know where to start with any of that, but like we're literally lighting it on fire instead of, what, how you started this is like a construction champion asks questions. So why are the people that are responsible for this not asking questions of like, why are we burning 10 to 15% on rework? Why wouldn't we try to stop that?
You think about it, right, from a political point of view, like, before we get too far into politics outside of my realm, because I'm certainly not a politician, put it that way. But I look at it and I go, well, you're either employing somebody to sit them on a project and you're burning money and you're paying them to sit there and do rework over and over again, or they're unemployed and you're paying them off the dole or whatever it might be on government benefits to be able to, try and find a job that doesn't exist because the company's being too productive. So it's from a political point of view, like, well, you're either taking money there or you're taking money there. The way you're taking the money at.
I mean, it's crazy. It really is. So I love that you ask the questions enough to now where you're helping other builders, other project managers understand this so they don't say, why are we doing it this way? Can you explain kind of how that works when you work with companies?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, from our side of things, obviously we produce the result they need. They're generally coming to us because they're in a bind. They're in a situation they gotta pull a rabbit out of a hat, and we can help them out. We may not give them the best response, but we'll give them a solution that's better than what they could come up with, basically. And a lot of that comes down to solving the problem, but then also guiding them on how to deliver the problem. Right. So this is coming back to the team and the leaders that are in there, and having them create those the positive teams, I guess, is the best way to put it. So, making sure that the people are, they're not focused on the fluffy side of things, but they're actually just positive and supportive and trying to think about it from the other person's perspective. Everyone is generally in a high stress environment on site, and when they're coming to us, they are in that state where they're like, oh, I have no idea what to do. I'll pay you whatever. Get in here and solve it. And we're just like, yeah, mate, no worries. Then we get in there and they go, what's the solution? I go, I don't know yet. But whatever we work our way through and come up with is going to be better with the position you're in now, right? And a lot of that is being able to deliver the message back to project managers, back to stakeholders, back to their reports as well, to give them a tool that they can go back to their reports, which will gain their acceptance, and then that way it gives them a solution that can get moving on. So, so I mean, most of our clients, the ones that we hear from once, we go, I don't want to hear from you again. Because if I hear from you again, it means you got another problem. Yeah.
Well, how you were talking about how you communicate this to everybody involved, that right there is what wins or loses the entire outcome of this. When something goes sideways, a lot of times it isn't the solution or what actually happened that causes all the stress and headaches. It's how we use our words to say the stuff that needs to be said, and it causes even more problems instead of just taking the time. Like you said, like it's a high stress situation. You don't have to jump to conclusions. You don't have to whatever. Just, hey, we're going to get this figured out, and then meet with somebody like yourself that's an expert to be able to help put this together. And this is how we deliver this message to the team, to the stakeholders, to the client, to everybody involved in a way that helps, if I had to guess, keep the temperature low.
Yeah, exactly. And you're touching on storytelling, right? So I mean, storytelling in project management is a big thing, and I think it comes down to your ability to empathize with the other team, all of the stakeholders that are involved, understand what their objectives from this project is, or this site activity that you're looking at. What are your objectives, and how can we help you achieve your objectives, but also achieve our objectives? And that's being able to, look at it from their perspective and deliver a result that ticks the box on their side as well. And then that way they're going to be more accepting of that. So yeah, that might be a conversation. That might be doing a little bit extra to be able to get something over the line that's outside of your scope. But ultimately, that's going to pay off in the long run for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that. So for people that have been down this road, that have ran into these problems, that have looked at stuff and been like, how are we ever going to do this? What are your recommendations of like, what are the steps? How should they process this, and when should they reach out to you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, building construction is just going to have problems. So it's going to have problems because you got so many different personalities that are coming from different stakeholders and everything, and they're all got different objectives, and the complexities of it is just insane. I've sat in meetings that have 40 people, and I go, why am I sitting in a meeting with 40 people? This is not going to achieve a result. Like, why we should need to listen to this? So, I mean, for me, my advice would be have a look at your workflow. So how do you actually deliver the result? How do you understand what is the activity that I'm going to do? Where does this fit into the overall pie, call it, right? Then how do I benefit my path moving forward with the workflow that I did? So that comes down to delivery, that comes down to the personnel. Like, you might understand that your site foreman may be conflicting with the engineer or project manager on site. So move your site foreman to something else and get somebody else in there that's got a personality that's going to be able to, run with that project manager and get a bit of a result. But I mean, project managers, project engineers, I mean, at the end of the day, they all just want to be loved. I feel like the world's against them.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely can feel that. Don't show up to the next job site just walking up and hugging them, though. That's
Buy him a coffee, buy him an ice cream. Go, hey mate, look, don't worry, everything's gonna be okay.
yeah, coffee, ice cream, energy drinks. Just that's how they receive love. Awesome, Brendan. This has been a fantastic conversation. I have really enjoyed it. For all the champions listening out there, if they wanted to connect with you, learn more about what you do, where's the best places for them to do that?
Yeah, definitely. Look, I mean, if anyone wants to connect with me, LinkedIn's probably the best way to do it. Just search my name. I'm there. Otherwise, through JC Engineers, we've got the website, www.jcengineers.com.au. And there's our info account is just info@jcengineers.com.au. So they're happy to get in touch and chew the fat with whoever wants to get on board.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for taking the time and being on the show today.
Thanks, Ron. It was a blast.
Awesome. All right, construction champions, that's another episode in the bag. Well, Brendan brought up a great point of why not just ask the questions? Like, we should be seeking to understand before we build something. But too often, what do? Is we're like, well, this ain't going to work. Not my design. We'll just continue right along with it. And then you end up having to tear it down and redoing it when we could have asked some questions. It's not even about asking questions. It's about seeking clarity and just like having an organic conversation around like, what are your thoughts on this? Because mine are, it's probably not going to work. Everybody has their experiences, their education and what they're good at. And like, you take your car to the mechanic. If the mechanic is like, don't understand why this would be done this way, you're going to let them do what needs to happen to make it right. But for some reason, he's not just going to be like, oh, well, I read somewhere you put some duct tape around this and it'll work and do that. And then like think that's going to be acceptable. But for some reason, a lot of times on a job site, we can be like, well, wasn't my plan or ID, but I'm just the one here. I'm just the guy here executing it. Like, I'll just do whatever. And like Brendan spoke into this blame game culture where there's not necessarily taking responsibility for the outcome. It's taking responsibility to be able to pass the blame off if it doesn't go right. And we need to start taking responsibility for that outcome. We need to say, hold on a minute. Something's off here. This doesn't look right to me. We've done a lot of these, and this isn't typically how we do it. So don't be afraid to ask those questions. I started out in the construction industry running a jackhammer, and I've been asking questions ever since. And it led me to running the company. Like, there's nothing wrong with asking questions. It's one way to educate yourself and to maybe save the project. Like, it's maybe you don't know something. Like, maybe that's why it's happening. And you need to ask the question, and you now know, hey, oh, well, I guess I was wrong on that. If we do it this way, this does make sense because what's happening next or something. So, construction champions, go be the champion you're meant to be.